In the arena of architecture, there are architectural shifts. There are 5 different areas of concern. 1. Deconstruction. Within the arena of deconstruction, there are 3 characters that I would like to talk about. 1. Frank Gehry. Frank Gehry's work, when it came on the scene, it was an incredible opportunity for us to see something happening where not only feeling was being represented, but we were able to see how forms begin to tell a story in the arena of architecture, where you can say how the community came together to tell bring one message across, but in terms of the arena of architecture, it was saying something different because of the way materials that were being used. And then number 2, Daniel Libeskind was giving life to a message, the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust that happened. He was able to bring forth a point so that he was able to give form to the void that existed. And then finally, when you look at Zaha Hadid's work, we were talking about how Zaha Hadid was able to then bring forth a fluidity in the arena of architecture, where basically you're talking about form being deconstructed, shapes, volumes, evoking their own presence, creating an opportunity for us to see beyond spaces, looking at the fluidity within which we are constantly confronted. Architecture taking on a deconstructive reality within these 3 personalities' work. Green tech speaks to the situation where materials are used in a very smart way, as well as looking at how the environment is brought into the situation. With Thomas Heatherwick, he was able to facilitate creating a very smart structure within the context of this urban arena. Being able to tell a story that goes back into the Indian context so that they were able to talk about going down to the waterway, but being able to bring forth life. Where big comes in, they were able to create a bio city, creating a diversity that is able to tell that story of not only the environment, but again, using technology with the environment. And that is one of the things that we are trying to bring across when you're looking at these different projects that are talking about environmental and technology. So finally, what we would want to look at is how we can use architecture to tell stories. Now, when you look at mad architects, they are doing a similar thing, using nature within this green park to tell a story of architecture, but being able to also incorporate functionality, spaces for the community and faces for the people. Simplicity in itself is what Foster speaks about. They are in a unique situation where they are creating architecture that brings the problem down to its essence and being able to tell that story in a very unique way, using materials in a very unique way. Wood, glass, and again, bringing it down to the person within that context, and also using green, etc. Green technology is a part of their language, but not the only thing that they use. Another part of what they do is they are also looking at the bigger picture. They have big projects, small projects, and with the Apple headquarters, they were able to bring forth different levels of technology while bringing the project down to its simplest form. World theory gives Rem Koolhaas the opportunity to speak on the issue.
Imagine where there's nothing, a future. A future which is highly detailed. If you look at the present in a creative way, you can also unleash futures. So in that sense, we are not so much predictors of the future, but enablers of the future. My name is Rem Koolhaas. I'm an architect and also a writer. What is absurdly ambitious, I think, is to do something on a global scale.
We have teams of researchers that are in the field, interviewing, listening, data gathering, and analyzing all that data. Some of the answers that we're looking for regarding to climate change, migration, preservation, these answers are to be found in the countryside, and by looking at these as a total, that could lead to interesting solutions.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Quilted volumes. Basically, you're talking about puncturing time and space. That's what Frank Gehry was able to do with his project. The Louis Vuitton project, I believe, is one of those projects that redefine again the way architecture is done. It's a whole nother way of looking at architecture, the transparency of it, exploring depth, exploring light in motion, exploring volumes of floating sounds that embody memory and enabling futures. Chuck Close does the same thing with his art. If you look at the volumes created by the pixelated condition within his work, Quilted, I believe, is a new way of looking at architecture. In summary, architectural shifts happen every so often. We're talking about deconstruction, green tech, simplicity, world theory, and then finally my favorite, quilted. How does these 5 areas begin to affect and inject a whole nother way of dealing with architecture going into the future? All the material gathered was from on YouTube and online so that we were able to tell this story of the architectural shift within the context of architecture in our world today, 2020.